Hello, Namaskar and Adab to all my friends from your friend astrologer and guide Irfan, once more with you from your very own channel Astro Assurance. Today I am going to talk about an area where very rarely people ask me about, and generally the questions are around how much money will I make, what will my career be, who will I get married to, whether I will go to foreign lands, will I win a lottery, and will I be healthy. So questions are around that. One area where very rarely people ask me questions about is about moksha, or liberation of the soul and reaching the higher realm after the death. So this liberation or salvation that we talk about is very rarely asked in the horoscope analysis. Now firstly, the person who is getting a horoscope check normally doesn't get checked for spiritual reasons. Most of the time the horoscope is checked for material reasons, the ones that I talked about: marriage, job, career, government jobs. A lot of people in India are concerned about government jobs. Then will I earn money through shares and through stocks, or will I go to foreign land? So most of the questions are around very materialistic aspects of life. Even if the questions are not about them, then the question will be about the spouse, or the question will be about parents, or the questions will be about children, which are again materialistic. So I wanted to share some ideas and some placements about how one can see moksha through your horoscope. Now first thing is that there is no guarantee by virtue of certain placements that this will absolutely happen. But the opportunities are given to you, and the higher chances are given to you by virtue of some placements in your horoscope. So for example, a very well placed Jupiter in the Lagna gives you a good opportunity to be a very wise person, to be a very learned person, to come across as a guru and to lead your life more with wisdom. However, it is up to you how you use the Jupiter to lead your life and then to be seen or have the reputation of a person who is also a very wise person and a wise man and a guru. So it's up to you, but the opportunity is given to you by a very strong, well placed Jupiter in a friendly sign in the Lagna, for example. So these opportunities are definitely given to you, probabilities are given to you through planetary placements, but there are no guarantees. And similarly is moksha. Moksha, some of the placements have been mentioned in the shlokas, even the astrological texts, that such and such a placement can give you moksha. However, there are no guarantees. But let's talk about what are the placements which give you higher probability of a moksha, plus what should be the lifestyle of a person which again adds or increases the probability of getting a moksha post your life or after you die. Now Ketu is being talked about as a planet which may attain moksha for you, and especially if it is connected to the 12th house or placed in the 12th house, for example. And higher chance also has been talked about if both Ketu and Jupiter are placed in the 12th house, especially for example in Pisces or even in Sagittarius or any friendly sign, or even in Cancer, for example. However, I don't see that this placement guarantees you moksha. But it may increase your chances of moksha because of how you lead your life. And why are we talking about Ketu and Jupiter as the two planets which are important or connected to moksha? One is that Jupiter is a very spiritual planet. It's a planet of wisdom. A wise man will generally not run towards materialism. He will not run towards getting more money, winning lotteries or houses and cars. The person will look at using wisdom and his experiences to better his own life and to better the lives of others. And why Ketu? Ketu is a planet of negation or giving up. So a person who gives up his own needs, his own wants, and is a more spiritual person with the Jupiter and the Ketu combination, and is interested or has wisdom about the 12th house. What is the 12th house? The 12th house is the house of moksha, and the 12th house is also the house of giving up, negation, losses. So a person who is ready to lose the material tendencies of life to attain the higher spiritual tendencies by giving up through his wisdom and his experiences is why Jupiter and Ketu combination or conjunction in the 12th house is said to have the higher say in giving you moksha. However, if you, while Ketu is there in the 12th house, you still are running around for materialistic gains, not using that energy, and are not becoming submissive to the will of the Lord, and are chasing those areas which can take you away from moksha, then obviously you are reducing your chances of moksha. Now, what are the general placements? This is what the Shastras say, tell us, what the shlokas in the astrological text tell us. But generally, what are the other placements which have also been mentioned, which have also been talked about, and which, when connected to a certain house and sign and towards behaviors in life and attitude in life, can give you moksha? Firstly, I have seen that generally people who have a strong Jupiter and Ketu connect in the last degrees of the 12th sign, whichever is the 12th sign. If you are in the last degrees and closer to the degrees of the ascendant, then I find that such a person may have higher chance of getting a moksha if Ketu is placed there, or even if Jupiter is placed there, for example with moon, because they are closer to the lagna. So a planet which is very close on the cusp of the 12th and the first house, then a person, because has closeness to the lagna, also the planet's closeness to the lagna, they influence the lagna itself. That means they influence how the person will lead his life. So if Ketu and Jupiter are in the last few degrees of the 12th sign and closer to the lagna, then the person's whole life will be closer to giving up, negation, spirituality, using wisdom to rise higher in life and not live for self but live for others, a life of service, a life using experiences for the development of people. That's one. Second, planets placed in the lagna itself, Ketu and Jupiter for example placed in the lagna itself, can also give you such tendencies where the person is not looking at self at all. He doesn't look at what my reputation is, how do I look, what my personality is, doesn't even care about his own health when it comes to serving others, helping others. And such a person may have a very less connection to material attributes of life and to life itself. The person may live more for others. Even when the person gets married, he may most of the time try to keep his opposite partner, his partner more happy, children more happy, parents more happy, rather than live for self. So this is a very strong connection of Jupiter and Ketu with the 12th house and the lagna. The other placements are of either Jupiter combining with the moon or even Ketu combining with the moon. And why is it so? Moon is your mind, your manas, and your manas or your mind is the chief or the strongest planet representing how your mind works, what aspirations you are, where your movement is, where your interests are. And so if Ketu and moon connect, then the person will rather than look at his own emotionality or own emotional needs, because moon is also emotions, he will be looking at emotions for others. Wherever Ketu is placed, the person doesn't think about self but does service or looks at things for others. So Ketu with moon, the person will not look at his own emotional needs but will look at emotional needs of others, will not look at supporting self but look at supporting and caring for others. And moon is also a mother, so the person will have a lot of motherly affection and motherly care for others and towards life. And that's why this combination in the lagna or in the 12th house or in the 4th house or the 8th house also can bring you closer to moksha. Why is it so? Now, why are the 4th house, the 8th house and the 12th house called the moksha house or the moksha houses? Firstly, they share the 5th house energies with each other. The 12th house is the house of moksha, the 5th house from there is the 4th house, and the 5th house from the 4th house is the 8th house. Now, because the 5th house from any house is also gives you gains of that house and shares energies of that house, that's why 12, 4 and 8 share energies with each other, share similarities with each other also from a moksha perspective, from a giving up perspective, and that's why the 3 are the moksha house. The other reason for the 4th, 8th and 12th to be moksha house is because what is the 12th house? The 12th house is about giving up everything, material tendencies, and also called the house where you are looking at more outside of the worldly needs and looking more towards a higher needs, and that's why Pisces is a sign which is more imaginary, which doesn't look at immediate things around itself, material things, but is thinks and is a very creative and a very imaginary force. Pisces. So the 12th house being the house of moksha, and 4th and 8th sharing energies similar to the 12th house where moksha is concerned. These three are moksha bhavs. The other thing is also where does a person die when in his life. The person either dies at his home in his sleep, and which is his home? The home which he makes is the 4th house. His domestic life is the 4th house. It is also his mental peace. It is also his domestic happiness. And the Grihastha ashram has been called upon as the highest ashrama or the most pious ashrama for attaining highest closeness to the Lord. A person who doesn't serve the Grihastha better cannot have the other ashramas give him more benefits or raise him to a higher realm. And that's why the 4th house is also the house of moksha, because it shares energies with the 12th house. Second, it is also a house where of Grihastha ashrama also, of his domestic happiness and his mental peace also, and it is also the house of mother, represented by moon, and he may die at his house, in his bed, in his sleep. So that's why from his home he may directly attain moksha while dying at home and being in, and also his attributes in life are somebody who is living for others, taking care of others, taking care of his family, not looking at his own self, but wanting to move closer to the Lord through his service to others. So a person who has who's a very kind husband, very kind father, is a very loving and caring person, serves the mother, seeks the blessings of the mother, because the 4th house is also mother, then the person has a higher chance of attaining moksha also. If you look at from an Islamic point of view, people who are Muslims, the ahadith and also the Holy Book Quran, they emphasize on the importance of mother. In fact, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that if your mother is unhappy with you, if you don't have the blessings of the mother, then whatever good deeds you may do, you cannot attain heaven. The heaven lies under the feet of the mother. And if you know from an Islamic point of view, there is no life and death cycle. If you die, you directly attain moksha or you go to heaven if your mother's blessings are with you and you have other good deeds. But if your mother is unhappy with you, you have not served the mother has not blessed you, she is angry or upset with you because of your certain actions, then all other things you may do well in life, you may still not attain salvation or moksha or go to heaven. So that's why the 4th house is very important, because it is the house of mother. And if somebody keeps some mother very unhappy, the person who has brought you into the world and not serve her, then you also spoil your chances of moksha. And also, if you're not a loving husband, you're not a loving father, and you are not somebody who does the Grihastha ashram well. And then the 8th house is also the house of moksha, because firstly, 8th house is the house of life and death. It tells you the longevity of the life. But 8th house is also the energies of all hidden things, mysticism. Whether you attain moksha or not is also a spirit or a secret which is related to only when after you die, only after death, which is represented by 8th house, you may attain moksha. And that's why the 8th house is also the house of moksha. Also because a person, if he doesn't die at the home and he doesn't die at hospital, which is represented by the 12th house, then he may die outside of house and outside of hospital on the road through an accident. What is the 8th house? It is a house of sudden events and sudden trauma, huge trauma brought about suddenly, which are accidents. So if you go through huge sudden trauma through an accident and if you die, then you may also attain moksha if you have done other good deeds also, which are more representative of serving others, taking care of others rather than living for yourself. So a person who is more focused on material things, material aspects of life rather than living for others, you will find reduces his chances of attaining moksha. And if he is not serving the 4th house attributes well, serving the 8th house attributes well, helping people in trauma, helping people who have challenges in life, so all 8th house energies, helping people who are sick, who are needy, who have some or the other problems, issues in life, all represented by 8th house. If you don't do that, you don't live for others, you don't take care of others, you don't give up on some of your materialistic tendencies to help people who need help and who are in trauma, then you may not attain moksha. And that's why 4th house and 8th house and 12th house are the houses of moksha, and the strong planetary placements in these, especially where Ketu, Moon or Jupiter are concerned, may take you towards moksha. The other planet which also helps in reaching you to the higher realm is Sun. Sun represents your soul. Sun is also the natural Atma, or represents the Atma, and any planet which rules the 8th house also, and is the highest planet, which is the Atma Karaka. Such planetary forces or such planet placed with Ketu, Moon or Jupiter, or in conjunction with at least 2 more planets, like the Lord of the 8th house, if it is also the Atma Karaka, placed with Ketu or Moon in the 12th house or the 4th house or in the Lagna, also give you a higher chance of living a life of serving others, moving away from materialism. And it is also the Atma Karaka, the journey of the soul, can also give you moksha. However, the actions of yours are very, very important. For example, for a Gemini ascendant native, their 8th house and the 9th house are connected by having the same 8th and 9th lord, which is Saturn. So for a Gemini ascendant native, the 8th house is the house of Capricorn and the 9th house is the house of, or the sign of, Aquarius. So when the 8th house and the 9th house share energy, so your religion becomes spirituality, or your spirituality is your religion, for example. So such a person will look at helping people using higher energies of his existence, and will serving humanity becomes his religion, becomes his way of serving the Lord itself. And that's why such people, where you have 8th and 9th house connected, or 8th and 4th house strongly connected, or 8th house and the 12th house strongly connected, or even the 9th and 12th house strongly connected by virtue of conjunctions or placements, plus having a very selfless approach to life, helping others, also will move you towards moksha. The one more connection which I have seen, which makes people move more towards the Lord, I will not say gives moksha, but moves more towards the Lord or reach the higher realm, is also sharing of energies between the 6th or the 8th house and 6th and the 12th house. One of the reasons is the 6th house is also the Bhrigu bhav, or the bhav which gets the which is the earning of the 5th house. So for example, the earning of the Lagna is the 2nd house. So the earning of the 5th house, which also is represents your carry forward karma, is the 6th house, and 6th house is also the house of service. So if you are serving others, serving humanity, and you are humble, and if the 8th and 6th house planets also share energy, so you serve people who are in trauma through your selfless service. So a lot of doctors, very famous doctors, a lot of important people in life also, who who run NGOs or run hospitals and clinics, where the 6th and 8th house energies may be connected, and who themselves don't do much for themselves, but most of the money they leave behind for charities, or through some foundation that they leave behind, is also something which helps people move towards moksha. So these combinations are important. The planets Jupiter, Ketu, Moon coming together to an extent, Sun helping, Lagna, 4th house, 6th house, 8th house, 9th and 12th house having these placements, and the attitude of the person being selfless, helping others, not focusing on self, always looking at humanity and humbleness, and being somebody who is not arrogant, who is not aggressive, who is mild mannered, who is soft mannered. Such a person has highest chances of reaching moksha. So friends, this is my analysis about what are the placements and what are the conjunctions which can help you attain moksha in life. If you are looking for a personal consultation from me, please reach out to me at the links given below. Please like this video, please share this video, so that others can also know how they can get on and embark on a journey towards moksha. And please subscribe to my channel, and till we meet some other time, this is your friend, astrologer and guide Irfan signing off. Ciao.